Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. And we finally have Mantis deep dive, so we're gonna break it down. And before we go any further, I must say that Mantis is definitely a champion that I'm quite excited about, to be honest. I do think she is going to be fairly straightforward and most importantly very effective. And the thing that I like about Mantis the most is there's none of that go to level 3, level 1 and then drop 3 heavy attacks and do that stuff. The idea how you play Mantis is build up to level 2 whilst basically kind of building up her, let's say, her own personal version of Feat of Hercules, where you either intercept the opponent when they have Infuriate or hit their block when they have the passive play debuff, and then just, you know, charge a heavy attack. Opponent's going to be passively stunned during that, gain a ton of Furies, and get a guaranteed crit. So it's basically just build up to level 2. And I love that. There are other bits of utility, but the most important, in my opinion, is definitely going to be your ability to manipulate AI. And that does not sacrifice your damage. Whether you want your opponent to be aggressive, you can use that, inflict the Infuriate, you're going to get an easy intercepts, or you inflict the one where he goes defensive, and you're going to be hitting their block a lot. And then obviously there's going to be quite a lot of guaranteed damage on the heavy attacks. Also, an interesting thing for Mantis is that she can inflict tranquilize, which basically makes opponents' debuffs fail. And it is 100% against science champions, and obviously science champions without their debuffs basically do nothing, and you can pretty much have this up for majority of the fight. So she's going to be very, very effective science champion killer. Now again, that 25% potency against an average champion, it's not something you can rely on. It's kind of neat to have. It's probably going to, you know, make some fights messy, but it's definitely, you know, primarily against science champions. When it is 100%, you'll be able to upkeep it for majority of the fight, and that's going to be quite awesome as well. And those are going to be, and that's pretty much what makes the character it's fairly simple character which will have quite a lot of applications. Now her, let's say, mixed emotions is her ramp up, more or less. Dashing backwards after landing the first, second or third light attack inflicts an unstacking Infuriate for 7 seconds. And then we have landing a light combo ender inflicts an non-stacking Intimidate debuff for 7 seconds. And then if opponent has Infuriate, you're meant to intercept them. You gain 2 mixed emotion passives. If they have Intimidate, you're meant to hit their block. And every time you do, you gain mixed emotion passives. And then when you charge a heavy attack, based on how many mixed emotion passives you have, it determines how long you can passively stun them. And it might sound a bit complicated, but it really isn't. The entire base idea in majority of the fights is going to be kind of play like Hercules a bit for a first half as you're building to your level 2. Then in order to finish that up, you're gonna play her a bit like Hulkling in a sense, or Valkyrie, where you can hit opponent's block for a bit. And then just get opponent to the corner, start charging heavy attack. They will be passively stunned, drop a level 2 with guaranteed crits and some extra cruelties. And that's just about how it is going to work. And I do like that a lot. I do think I took some numbers of the screenshots of the damage, but you can probably expect, like, you know, 100k plus easy on her level 2, which is exactly why I'm quite excited for her. She's likely going to be very good battleground champion, for instance. She's going to be very suitable for like shorter to mid-length fights, in my opinion. And there is easy to access utility as well. One of the cooler things about Mantis is also her level 1. Her level 1 does have several effects, but some of the more meaningful ones is kind of similar but upgraded version what Black Cat has, where when you throw a level 1 you can purify 2 debuffs on you, or if you don't purify any debuffs then you get 2 cleanse charges. But the fact that you can purify 2 existing debuffs is awesome because you can get rid of Liquid Courage double edge debuffs from you, and every time you purify the debuff with that ability, you also gain your mixed emotion passive, so that helps you with ramp up as well. So you can run her likely quite successfully with Liquid Courage double edge. Just rush to level 1, drop that, get rid of the debuffs, and, you know, then play with level 2s exclusively. Her signature ability is also It's a very good to have ability without a doubt, but I don't think it's absolutely mandatory. It'll make her easier to play, where all tranquilize effects under 100% potency have their potency increased by 25%. So you end up with what, 25 quarter from that, 30% chance. Again, it's still not reliable enough to persistently benefit from or rely on, but it should be, you know, decent bonus to that. But the more important ability in signature is inflicting a mixed emotion passive while the opponent is inflicted with tranquilize effect, pauses all tranquilize effects for 1.2 seconds, which makes her much kind of easier to ramp up whilst maintaining the tranquilize on the opponent. And yeah, that's kind of it. And here is more or less how it looks like. When you build up your mixed emotion passives, you just get opponent in the corner, start charging your heavy attack. As you charge your heavy attack, you gain these passive furies. Then you land first 2 hits of your heavy attack, which gives you the cruelty. And then you drop your level 2, which probably will, well, in this case, it was shown to do about 200k guaranteed damage, which is, you know, quite a meaningful chunk change of damage there for sure. And yeah, I like that. I do like that she has something fairly unique. I like the fact that she combines infuriate and intimidate effects, and also tranquilize can definitely come in handy, especially in some specific science matchups. And definitely the guaranteed crits and quite significant damage there. Whenever Mantis inflicts a mixed emotion passive, there is 25% chance to inflict another, which, you know, is fair enough. And Psycho Man needs more than whatever he's getting from this synergy. Now we have Guardians of the Galaxy synergy, where you gain extra block proficiency, which again I don't think is anything too special for any of this stuff. This one can sense that it's complicated. The duration of personal infuriate and intimidate debuffs is increased by 2 seconds. It's nice, it's neat. I don't think it's like mandatory. Gamora, well, Gamora has at least 6 personal buffs active. Her special 2 becomes unblockable. I don't think that's gonna, you know, jump up Gamora's usability. However, Star-Lord synergy is definitely something well worth talking about, where elemental guns are no longer random. Effects be cycled by double tapping block. Effects are cycled fire, air, water, earth, and basically each one of them, it's going to be either the heal block or the power drain or the armor break or whatever it was, it shock that he inflicts. And I think that definitely helps Star-Lord a lot. Now, it's a shame that it's a synergy. It's a shame that it isn't in his base kit, because it is exactly the type of thing that would be, you know, making a difference to Star-Lord. Where one of the more annoying things for old school players, if you remember, is when, yeah, you just don't get correct effects with Star-Lord. And sometimes they just flat out end up ruining your plans or rotations. For instance, unnecessarily power draining the opponent. Was quite frustrating at times, or inflicting a shock debuff on champions you do not wish to inflict shock debuff on, and so on and so forth. So having access to that is quite cool. I do like that. I think it's quite meaningful synergy. The one won't let anything go over your head. Mantis, sleep inflicted by charging heavy attack has duration increased. You know, it's kind of nice. You probably now need less mixed emotion passives to kind of like get max damage level 2. And then we have Drax, now can parry non-contact hits. Again, Drax needs much more than that. And then this one thinks violence is not the solution. While at least one personal cruelty buff is active, gain a precision passive, which is quite neat, but you don't really need it, because you get those cruelty buffs typically as you are about to throw a level 2, and that's guaranteed crits as is. Also, Rocket Raccoon inflicting power drains with special 1 now consumes 10 scrap instead of 15. That is quite nice. That is definitely quite nice. And that is more or less Mantis. So again, I do think she's going to be quite cool. I don't think she's going to be necessarily absolutely game-breaking, but I do think she's going to be a science killer, because fighting against champions where science champs can't inflict debuffs on you, and then if something slips through, you have the ability to purify. That is the closest thing we have to basically a debuff immune champion, maybe together with Taskmaster in a sense. But I think it's very powerful in right situations. I think it's going to be somewhat niche, again, because it's specifically science and it's not always strictly needed. But it's definitely something worth having in your account or access to. And then simple rotation, build up to level 2, charge your heavy attack while opponents passively stand, and then drop a massive guaranteed crit level 2. What's not to like? Think she's going to be fairly straightforward, fairly effective, and again, obviously this is just kind of initial impressions. We do not know exactly how well she's going to integrate herself in the game, how necessary she's going to be, and all those other things. And still a lot more to be considered. But so far, she definitely gets quite positive reception from me, because there's not much that I'm worried about. I'm not worried about her ramp up or rotation being practical or her utilities being viable and things like that. She does genuinely sound like, again, straightforward, simple, effective champion. Maybe not, you know, the top of the top, but definitely good. And who knows, maybe she will end up being even better than we think. Or maybe she's going to end up being worse. We don't know that. But what's important right now is to keep an open mind. And yeah, I'm going to definitely be looking forward to getting my hands on this champion and testing her out myself. See you soon, guys. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the next